Hey folks, it's time for Scottman's Super Saturday Snags, and we're gonna cover a little ground of um, electronic media and sort of some of the ways we go about with electronic entertainment here, and the very end of 2019. Um, a little bit has changed, in the early 2000s and 2010s and whatever over that time. So um, I was trying to, we all rely on either some of us still have traditional cable where you subscribe to a cable provider and you have all the channels and the ESPN and Disney Plus and Cartoon Network or Comedy Central, or I think it was a History Channel, and I can't even remember a lot of them. Discovery, and like I used to like a lot of these things, and especially TVFN. I love Food Network, but more and more people are going to where they just get what they want to get via their computer hookup, and they subscribe to one app or another app. So you got your Netflix and your Hulu and your Amazons and Tubi's and all the stuff, and you kind of choose, and if you don't want to choose something, you don't choose it. These things are all pretty reasonably priced, and it's not a big gouge, so you can instead of having to pay to have a big cable service coming in, you just do what you want or see what you want to watch off of a menu and scroll through it, look at what you want to get, and you see the thing kind of stuff you're really interested in. But I mean, over the years, I've always liked to have a little bit of a menu in like a backup menu of my own, the likes and dislikes, just right on the bookshelf. Because I'm not, speaking of books, I mean, I'm not a big reader, but I always love TV and movies and what have you. So I've always really enjoyed having my own selection of movies. So that goes back to I think the late 80s with the VHS cassettes. I really liked that when you could tape, either buy them, rent them, or have your own tape cassettes. And then you could have like some sort of library of your own of different things. But what this has to do with is digital media on disc. I was just thinking the other day, I've been through, many a moon of like different apartments or different job situations over the years. And um, sometimes I put some of my gear into storage, and, you put a box of stuff, you know, sometimes I ask for like a relative of mine, like an aunt or somebody. I don't know. Can you hold on? I'm on, this crate of these guys. These are my my films or my discs. Or so over the years, I've actually I think my collection of whatever it is, my library of movies and things. They've been in hallways and top of closets and the occasional attic or like a basement. And the last time, I think it was like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, it was like underneath some steps in my cousin's building where he lives, and there's like a basement downstairs from where all the apartments are, and it was like tucked under there for like another few years, and I haven't always had them on hand, but I've tried to arrange where I can always retrieve them if the need be. And so I'm in one of the situations now where I can view them or check them out when I'm anxious to see like something. Well, it's the holidays, and I thought, let me treat myself. Let's get some new discs and stuff. So that's what this is about. Scottman's Super Saturday Snagz. From Christmas Eve or whatever. People that haven't had the chance to finish all their Christmas shopping for somebody else. I figured I'd go out and hit the electronic stores and look for some titles that I appreciate, or I thought it'd be fun to add to my little collection, and enjoy over the time off that we have sometimes, depending on who you work for or where you are. If you are still working, get some time to goof off, just pop movie in, watch a movie, you know, crack a beer, whatever you want to do. So I got a few titles from I think it's called Best Buy here near me, and there's some titles that I really enjoyed. Some of them, um, some of them I've already had, I've lost them, or they were used to be on, um, VHS, and then some of them I had on DVD. Some of them I had a DVD, and it was starting to get crisp from use, or even when I got it, it was like the DVD had problems with little cracks in it, or it was like abused. And then in one instance, a Bruce Willis movie, somebody removed it from my library just recently. Surprise to me, it just evaporated for whatever reason, and that was that. And then some good choices, but the first one, like mentioned, I just picked up was 1978's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's a movie. One of the things I like about this edition of there's a lot of Body Snatchers out there. One was 1955 or 56, but this one in 78 with Donald Sutherland and many others was set in San Francisco. There's a lot of scenes where you're around the city hall and that little, like, the courtyard there and stuff like that. It's sort of sentimental. When I began living in San Francisco, this movie was being shot. So that was one of the news items on the 6 o'clock news or something. After school, I'd be watching the news, and they were like, "Oh, they're setting up to film, part of this new movie that they're making or whatever." And that was like a memory of mine when I was a young man, going into middle school, and it's a pretty intense picture. 12 Monkeys. It's sort of a thing where future part of our civilization has to go downstairs underground to avoid the atmosphere. In this instance, it has to do with a virus kind of a thing. You don't want to go up and get sick, but the more things change in our current world, I think it's sort of an analogous to, what if say 30 years from now, the amount of radionuclides in the atmosphere, we all have to go and be cave dwellers in facilities where we have to filter the air or something like that, just to stay like alive. Got this. This is an interesting picture. It's called In the Mouth of Madness. It's a little odd. It's got Charlton Heston in it, and Sam Neill, and it's like, what if people reading novels, or like could like an author of books could change our society by getting enough people to buy into their spacey kind of take on perception and change the outlook of a lot of people in an adverse way and make everybody kind of a little goofy. So it's not like Walking Dead where everybody's a zombie. They're just nuts because they've been reading the wrong kind of book. It's pretty crazy thing. And I saw like an older picture from the 50s. Richard Burton and Liz Taylor. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? It's a great picture if you like kind of a, I don't know, it's a trip back into the 50s and 60s, not just because it's black and white, but because, it's the concept of where, I don't know, there's less electronics, first of all, like, some of these movies, but it's more like relationship, like quasi, kind of a bounce of people interacting with one another verbally, um, and they're college professors, let's say, and their wives and what have you. But it's sort of, real kind of interaction between some folks. And, she's sort of a domineering lady. There's a movie that I saw when I was a freshman in high school at the Coronet. No, not the Coronet, the Alexandria on 18th, I think it was, in Geary. It's called Creep Show. And in this movie here, I think, because I only found Virginia Woolf in 2005. I stumbled across it in a video club in, I believe it was White Plains. And I had never seen it in my life. So I was really surprised with that. But this Creep Show here, I saw this, I think it was a freshman in St. Ignatius, and I took a girl named Tina to the Alexandria, and we both saw this Creep Show. And there's a thing in here called the box or something like that. And it's the same thing as Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. The college professor, the domineering wife, the crazy situation where he's sort of kind of being squozen down by his situation and feeling tied up in knots. And Creep Show here, they kind of solve that. They feed her to a creature under the stairs in a box. It's like an abominable snowman yeti thing with very large teeth, and it eats her. So that's interesting. That's different. So later that night, after I got these, I was at the supermarket and I came across this thing. It's called Mother. It's not very old. I think that I saw that. Actually, I saw this in the theater. I was at the mall, and I heard it was terrible. I read a lot, and I saw some things that I didn't like. I was like, "Well, this is terrible. What a horrible thing!" It's just disturbing, and it's not good. And I had to see it because I thought, if everybody thinks it's that bad or it's not like worthy of praise, I'm there because that's something that I would rather see. When I hear that something is not what everybody would like to see, don't see this because it's not, you won't enjoy it. You don't like this. That means something to me. It's like, wait a minute. The studios put it into the circulation. they put it in the theaters. People are going to see it. It only got there because they had test groups viewing it, and some people decided that it was ready or it wasn't. It got into the theaters, and then the people that review these things said, "Oh no, that's not good." So I went and saw this thing. I love it. It's kind of a combination of a 1976 movie with Oliver Reed, Betty Davis, Karen Black, called Burn Embryo. It's like people getting eaten by a house that remodels itself after you die. And then Jacob's Ladder, Tim Robbins, Jason Alexander from Seinfeld, when he had hair, and kind of a Vietnam nightmare thing where the guy struggles with nightmares as he's bleeding to death on a cot in Vietnam, and his life completely goes through his mind. So you get to watch 120 minutes or 110 minutes of what he's experiencing while he's dying, and learning to let go. And the end of it is very disturbing. There's a lot of So this movie has a lot of symbolism with the Bible and creation and society and the evils of life and everything. And I think that Jacob's Ladder and this have a lot in common, with the end kind of being over the top disturbing, trying to get you to, be very disturbed and negative about, society and people and everything. That's really dumb. But anyway, the last thing I wanted to go into, because we're getting to almost 20 minutes now, I realized that I have the first digital media on a disc that's from a factory that I had ever had. And it's weird because I've had so many different, boxes of my discs and stuff over the years, and I put it here, and I lose some, and some I give away, or I trade some for somebody else, and I get something back. But I didn't realize I had the first disc that I ever got from a store, but it wasn't really a store. It was a CD store for music. Music really focused on just music. My deal was I would never get a disc player because it was a conspiracy by Sony and Matsushita. Matsushita was JVC and Panasonic parent company from Japan. And I always said that Matsushita and Sony were just trying to get us to buy into this new thing because they didn't want us to be able to make our own media and record stuff from TV, make our own entertainment, have our own libraries. They were trying to just lock us into where we had to buy each and every event. Then they started selling recordable DVD players. So I thought that shot that theory out the window. I thought, well, they already had TiVos, which was the beginning of the DVR technology. They had that. But I thought, well, if they're letting you can make your own disc, you can do a disc now and make it yourself. Okay. So I found one that was, they were like $700, $685 or something like that. I got a used, not a used one, a demo off a table for $295. So I took that home and bought a bunch of blanks And I started making my own. The first things I was making was like Monty Python off of channel PBS 13 here, and I loved Discovery Channel, Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe, and a lot of TVFN on Saturday mornings. Just I love those, like some cooking shows with a lot of food in it. Jamie Oliver in the morning, and Jada, or whatever. Some of them, some of those Food Network. So I had a library of like 500 discs of TV programming before I ever got a disc. So technically, my first disc, that was a movie, let's say, was I made it myself. This is like a blank you could get in 2002 or 3. I think it was maybe the Christmas of 2002 or something. These were like, I don't know, like a few bucks a piece. This is a DVD minus R. There's plus R and minus R. This is a minus R, and from Fuji case. It's Vibes. You can see here it's Jeff Goldblum, Cyndi Lauper, and I just made it myself. This is actually not a Fuji. This is a Maxell blank, and I made it myself on my player. Just cut it myself. Flexible record. It's a 105-minute event, and it's cut from side to side, so you get the best result. It's pan and scan, full screen TV style aperture, but it's pretty clear and great stereo sound and all that stuff. And this is like before I had an actual store-bought movie. This is my first like library cassette, like a DVD. It's a movie. That's my first movie. But the first store-bought cassette I had, here it is. I got this at Christmas of 2003 in a record store, because it was, music. It was a record store. And I've been in there for years, since the 90s. I was shopping at this place. And all of a sudden, somewhere in late 2001 or 2, I saw this like thing on the shelf. Then in 2002 or something, I forget whether it was they played on MTV, the Democratic National Convention had this thing with Natalie Merchant and Michael Stipe of REM, and they played "Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow" for the Clintons, and so they started playing this at Christmas every year for like 2001, 2002, 2003. You turn on this MTV at Christmas, and they seem to like use this here concert as a like kind of a Christmassy thing. I don't know what it has to do with Christmas, Fleetwood Mac, but it was fun. So anyway, I bought this. This is my first disc, and it's from 2003. So that's it's like 15 years ago. Sick that I had this sucker for 15 years, and nobody's stolen it or removed it from my library. So that shows you how much appreciation people have for the Fleetwood Mac. Nobody ever bothered to pinch it. Oh well. My first Blu-ray was trying to get a DVD of Deadpool. Yes, Deadpool. Don't leave home without it. No, it 3 or 4 years ago I was trying to get myself a copy of Deadpool, and comes with a Blu-ray inside. So now that was my first Blu-ray. I just realized that I had a Blu-ray of Deadpool recently because it was in a box. But this thing came with a Blu-ray inside. I bought it to get a DVD when my player only played DVDs. Cloverfield. Cloverfield is my first 4K. That's the next gen. 4K is your next gen. So it's a Blu-ray, but they give you the 4K gen inside, which means that, like, for all the other stuff here, I got my Pixies live in concert. So they may want me to run out and say, well, look, you got to have your Pixies in 4K. It's like, wait a minute, aren't those concerts from 1988? Were they filming in 4K back in 1988? I don't know. Maybe they remaster everything now to fit the new format. So I thought I was done. That was Super Saturday. So I went to the supermarket for some food. I got the Mother, found the Mother Blu-ray. But next to the supermarket, ShopRite, I think it's called, here in where I am, there's a, what do you call it? Like one of those thrift store things, next door to it. And they have a rack that's got old records. They've got vinyl records, not tapes, but they got some old vinyl, and they have like DVDs and early PlayStation games for old, maybe like Sega Saturn or whatever discs for game modules, and also like some discs. So I went in there, and for $1.99, I got myself 5 hours of Doom. I just spent like $18 on like several movies earlier in the afternoon, and I get a Sci-Fi Channel miniseries that I always wanted. I remember looking at this. I looked at this at Coconuts, or no, it was called FYE, when this came out, and it was like 44.99 or 40 something in those 40s, and I already had my own little DVDs of it from Sci-Fi Channel at my house, like that already. I had DVDs in my own little DVDs that I made. So it's like I'm not paying $48.99 for something that I have up the complete show. But it turns out there's like there's an extra something. It says here there's like an extra hour worth of stuff. So instead of 4 hours, this is 5 hours, and it's damn good. This was $1.99. You never overlook thrift stores. You got Tenacious D, The Pick of Destiny, also $1.99 instead of $20. $1.99, and the best snag of all, The Big Lebowski. I was going to get this on Blu-ray. I have it on my. I have a digital copy on my phone, but I think this The Big Lebowski in good shape for $1.99 for $6. I got 5, 6. This is like 8 hours. 8 hours of entertainment. From a bin. So $6 can go a long way with old discs, and you don't have to depend on what are they posting on Hulu or Netflix or Tubi or whatever. It's up to you, the consumer. You can put it on your shelf and have a library.